My son turned 1 year old today, and this momentous occasion brought both joy and a special sense of tension that there was no way I could shake off. This day was supposed to be all about celebration, smiles, cake smearing, laughter, and dozens of photos. But then came that awkward moment again that made my stomach rumble, my mother-in-law's insistence on participating in diaper changes. I'll tell you about the situation. My husband was going to change our son's diaper, a simple enough action that we agreed is a private matter. After all, it's not just about changing a diaper, it's about privacy and comfort. And since we use cloth diapers, it's a certain process that we don't share with anyone. So when my husband picked up our son to carry him to the changing area, my mother-in-law jumped up. Determination and impatience reflected on her face. "Let me help you," she said, following right behind him. I couldn't help but notice the look on her face, the way she seemed fixated on it, as if changing a diaper was something she desperately needed. "Wait, honey," I called out to my husband, trying to keep my voice calm, but not give away the anxiety that had settled inside of me. "Remember the rule, diaper changes are a private matter." My mother-in-law froze in place, and I saw irritation flash across her face, but she quickly hid it. It wasn't the first time she'd heard this rule, and it certainly wasn't the first time she'd reacted badly to it. She pursed her lips as she turned to me, a half-hearted attempt at humor in her voice. "Come on, it's just a diaper. I used to change his dad's diapers all the time, you know that." I know, I said, forcing myself to smile. But we really want it to be his own time. My words were soft, but the meaning of them was firm, a line not to be crossed. She stood looking at me, her eyes narrowing slightly before she let out a sigh that seemed to be loud enough for everyone to hear. After a few moments, she stepped away from us, her posture tense. My husband had already moved on, taking our son into another room, oblivious to the small silent battle going on in the background. I heard her muttering something to herself, something that included my name. The next thing I knew, she was sulking in the corner of the living room, making eye contact with no one and refusing offers to eat or talk. The birthday party had suddenly turned into a walk-on atmosphere. It's not that we haven't talked about it before, me and my husband, and even my mother-in-law herself. My husband and I decided from the beginning that we wanted diaper changing to be a private moment. We both felt it was important for our son's comfort and for building an understanding of bodily autonomy from an early age. We even made exceptions. For example, if someone needed to babysit or if he wanted to learn how to handle cloth diapers, we were happy to show him how to do it properly. But as a general rule, we felt that personal space was very important. My own mother seemed to have no problem with this. She never crossed boundaries, never insisted on participating in these intimate moments of caregiving. She understood, respected our wishes, and simply enjoyed the time with her grandson. But my mother-in-law was different. She acted as if she was entitled to every moment of her grandson's care, as if any boundary set was a personal affront to her authority as a grandmother. I tried to be sympathetic, to put it down to the excitement of being a grandparent and her desire to bond with her grandson. But it was hard not to feel that this insistence was crossing a line, not only a line of comfort, but also a line of respect. The tension between us has been brewing for a long time. There have been other incidents, other times when she's gotten in where she shouldn't. When she gave our son a taste of something we clearly said he couldn't have, just to see how he reacted. Or when she told my husband that we were being overprotective when we said no to some visitors during flu season. I wanted to believe that these moments were out of love, that she was just trying to be a caring grandmother. But the truth is, every time she pushed, it shattered our fragile trust. After today, however, I can't help but wonder if I'm overreacting. Am I being too strict? Am I being too cautious? When I see her sitting there, clearly upset, I doubt myself. Maybe I'm placing too much importance on something that doesn't matter as much as I think it does. Maybe it's really just a diaper change, something mundane and unimportant in the big picture. My mother-in-law certainly feels that way, and part of me wants to believe her, to let go of my fears and let her participate in the process the way she wants to. But when I look at my son, when I think about the values I want to instill in him, it all becomes clear again. For me, it's not just about changing a diaper. It's about setting boundaries, teaching my son that his body is his own and that he has a right to privacy. I want to make sure he knows that no matter how well-meaning, he has no right to decide what happens to his body without his or our permission. And even if he is too young to realize this now, these are the first steps to creating an environment where he will feel safe and respected. I know my mother-in-law loves him. I can see it in the way she talks about him, the way her eyes light up when he babbles or takes an uncertain step. I know she means him no harm, but love doesn't negate the need for boundaries. It doesn't justify ignoring the rules we, his parents, set. My husband has tried to talk to her too, patiently explaining his reasons, trying to get her to understand our point of view, but it never seemed to get through to her. Today, after grumbling a bit, she got up and announced that she had to leave. The air in the room grew heavy. My husband threw me a questioning look, but I just shrugged, not wanting to make a scene on our son's special day. She walked over to say goodbye to our son, barely dignifying me with a glance. I could tell she was upset, that she felt insulted, but what could I do? Apologize for setting boundaries that I thought were important? Apologize for not letting her cross them to keep the peace? As I watched her walk away, I felt a mixture of emotions, disappointment, sadness, and some relief. I didn't want it to be like this. I didn't want every visit to turn into a battle of wills, with each of us silently confronting the other. I wanted her to be a part of our son's life, to be the grandmother he adored and cherished. But that couldn't happen if she refused to honor the choices we made as his parents. Later that evening, when the house was quiet, I talked to my husband about it. He listened, nodding with a thoughtful expression on his face. "I'll talk to her some more," he said, his voice tired. I knew he was as tired of this as I was. He wanted his mother to be happy, to be a part of our lives without constant conflict. But he understood what I was getting at, and for that I was grateful. As I sat in my son's room watching him sleep peacefully, I felt a sense of determination wash over me. Perhaps my mother-in-law would never understand me. Perhaps she would always see my boundaries as obstacles. But I had to do what I thought was right for my son, even if it meant standing firm in the face of her disapproval. I had to protect his space, his privacy, and teach him that he deserved respect, even from those who loved him. And maybe one day she'd realize it, too.